You are listening to the 2 and Out CFL podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
And wow, do we ever have a lot of news to go through right now. It's Travis Currah and Sheldon Jones. Normally we do start the show with something fun, Sheldon, but this week with training camps, rookie camps opening, and then the weekend we got the full camp opening. The CFL news is coming fast and furious. Unfortunately, not all of it good, Mr. Jones.
No, not all of it. But you know what? It's good that it happened before the season starts, I guess, before training camp starts, so that every single press availability, they're not asking everyone on the Argos what's happening. So they waited to the last second, I guess, but at least we got some news, and hopefully the idiot doesn't appeal it, but see what happens.
Let's get right into it. Chad Kelly, the reigning CFL MOP, the star quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts, has been suspended for the preseason and a minimum of 9 games. They're calling it a minimum of 9 games for violating the gender-based violence policy. The lawsuit that first came out back in February comes from a former strength and conditioning coach of the Toronto Argonauts. That Chad Kelly repeatedly made advances on her throughout the 2022 and 2023 seasons. The lawsuit mentions John Murphy of the Toronto Argonauts, basically telling her that she shouldn't have opened up that can of worms. None of this is good. All of it is pretty damn embarrassing, to be frank, and I know that the CFL was criticized for being quiet and taking their time on this, but a 9-game suspension, Sheldon, that to me tells me that they were taking this pretty seriously.
Yeah, that's a suspension with teeth. Off the top of my head, I can only think of, like, there's certain players like Kyrie Bear and Garrett Marino and people like that where the league said that they wouldn't honor a contract. So I don't know if that would count as a huge suspension. I know that we just have an indefinite suspension for Sean Lemon for the betting, but this, to my recollection, is the biggest suspension that I can remember handed down by the league. So that's good. I sent out a tweet a few hours ago just basically saying, like, there's a lot of people who wanted this to be done immediately, and now they're validated because it should have been done immediately, I guess, because they found out that it's true. There's a lot of people who want a due process. Well, now they had their due process and it came out that it's true, so they're validated as well. So I think, and now this coach who doesn't have a job anymore and had made these accusations, she's validated too, because obviously the investigation found something, right? So everyone but Chad Kelly and the Argos right now are validated. I think, is this enough? I don't know. I think John Murphy needs to have some sort of firing. I don't know, something. But Murphy needs to have a part of this. The Argos, if anybody else knew, I know. I think the CFL said that they're going to handle the Argo part of the investigation internally, which that's not good. The optics of that aren't good, but finally we can start moving on, and the Argos now they're kind of left in the dark here a little bit, because now rookie camp starts tomorrow or the day after, and now they're down QB1 for at least half their season. So, and not to mention that Chad Kelly has already been paid $300,000 counting towards the cap. Now, where you can find another starting quarterback when you already have $300,000 on the books?
That's rough when it comes to football, but I think this is probably only the beginning. Now, this is the beginning of the CFL's punishment, but this lawsuit is still in the courts. That part still needs to be figured out. And the statement from the CFL reads that Mr. Kelly's suspension is the direct result of his behavior. And there's been an addition of mandatory counseling, which focuses on his need for self-reflection and understanding of his actions. He must take full advantage of this opportunity for personal betterment in order to return to the CFL. It sure does seem like this statement is very to the point, and it does seem like it does mean business from the CFL. So, you did mention John Murphy. He's had a couple chances in this great league of ours. He got into it with a fan after the 2021 Eastern Final between the Ticats and the Argonauts, and then he was sent packing, quietly brought back to the Argonauts. And his role in this thing, trying to keep it quiet, or at least telling the victim that she shouldn't have opened this can of worms, quote unquote. I think his time in the CFL has probably come to an end. But does it stop there? Pinball Clemens is one of the most beloved members of CFL history, CFL fandom, the league, and the country of Canada, I would say. I think it's time for Pinball to show why everybody loves him, I think. I know that they're probably preparing for a press conference as we're talking right now, but I think it would go a long way if Pinball would sit down in front of the microphone and have some words to say for Argo fans and CFL fans, because this behavior from not only Chad Kelly, but from John Murphy doesn't belong in the CFL. It doesn't belong in society in general. Where does it go from here? Is Chad Kelly ever going to play another game in the CFL, Sheldon?
I don't know. I know he's had his issues in the past, and I don't know if any of those issues had strings attached to them, like the CFL has put in front of him, where, having to deal with his counseling and for betterment and all that stuff, which is good. It's very good, because he can't just think of this as, hey, I got paid $300,000 and now I get half a season off. So he needs to understand, if he is going to come back, and if he is the face of the league, which is pretty much what he was, he needs to understand that has consequences to be the face of the league. And it would probably be a really good sign if he came out and, made a significant donation to some, workplace harassment sort of charity or nonprofit or something like that. The Argos, if they could do that too, that might buy some goodwill for their fan base. But the Argos need to figure out a way to rebuild the trust with their fans, and specifically with their female fans, which female fans are very important for this league. And if they do nothing, if they continue to stay silent, if they just hope that it's going to get swept under the rug, then they're going to lose a lot of fans. So I think I read that Pinball is going to be available after day 2 of rookie camp. In my opinion, that's not quick enough. It should be tomorrow morning. But can you do?
Yeah, they say that he could be reinstated once he satisfies the counseling and all that sort of thing. But does it look good on the Argos if they do bring him back? I don't know if it does.
I don't know either. Everyone deserves a second chance, but this isn't his second chance.
Yeah, it's been a lot of chances. Yeah. He was in the process, it seemed like, of rebuilding his image north of the border. And it seemed like, from what we all knew, that it was going all right. Winning the Most Outstanding Player award last year, until this all comes down 2 months after that, 2-3 months after that. And then it seems like, well, I don't know if he's learned anything. And I don't know, is the bigger issue, well, obviously the big issue is his actions, but also having the organization trying to keep it quiet and sweeping it under the rug. That is a massive issue as well. So a lot needs to be looked at in here. And like you said, the Argos and, their relationship with the fans, that puts Argo fans in a horrible place. Like,
yeah, we've been there.
You're
like
gonna
as
root for this guy when he comes back. I don't know if they are gonna bring him back. Well, I guess he's got to satisfy the CFL's requirements as well, and who knows if he's gonna pull that off.
Well, and like if you look at his even just his Twitter history in the past since February, since this came out, he never like I assume his lawyer told him not to talk about it, but he never made any sort of statement saying that he was sorry about anything. He didn't. He just kept tweeting stupid crap, talking about how the female basketball player, I can't remember her name, how she's getting paid CFL money now and stuff like that. Like, so he didn't seem to be taking his role as face of the Argos, QB1 of the league seriously. So is he going to take counseling seriously? Is he going to take these courses to learn how to not harass your coworkers seriously? Like, it's really not something anyone should have to take. It should be common knowledge. It should be common sense. But common sense is not common anymore.
And I'm really glad that she came forward. It was really brave of her to do. You've seen the comments surrounding this. Like, don't think that she doesn't read them. That, that's a horrible spot to be in. And look, I don't think it's over. So I think the CFL, it's a pretty appropriate punishment at this stage of the game, but I don't think it's over. There's probably a lot more to come out of this, and it sucks to talk about stuff like this. There's just no ands, ifs, or buts about it. The football players are going to be back on the field right away, and we'd rather be talking about that. Who's going to be the starting linebacker for whoever, things like that. Who's going to be playing offensive tackle in Hamilton? But now we're talking about unfortunate things like this. Has Chad Kelly learned his lesson? I guess we'll have to see, but there have been several chances in the NFL, in college, and now,
I was gonna say,
and now in the CFL. A lot of bridges have been burnt, and it might look poorly for the Argos to bring him back, unless he comes out and he stands in front of the microphone and he takes those hard questions as well. That could happen in the future. We'll see what happens here, but you're right, Sheldon. The female fans of the Argos and of the league, this is brutal news, the way that the Argos have handled it, but I guess we're on the path of trying to make it right. At this time,
let's hope there's one silver lining, and that's Cameron Dukes becomes a great player for the Argos. That's pretty much the only silver lining I can see in this.
Well, that's the other, I just wanted to talk about the way that football has gone for the Argos. It's like there's always some sort of positive things happening for them, and then it all comes crashing down. They win a Grey Cup, and then they win 16 games, and it seems like attendance and positive news is creeping up for the Argos. And then this happens, and they lost a lot of talent in the offseason as well. And you kind of wonder if some of those players wanted out because of what's been going on behind the scenes. That's the latest. Chad Kelly suspended a minimum of 9 games for violating the CFL's gender-based violence policy. I do want to try to talk about some football news here. We'll continue with some south of the border stuff. Nathan Rourke was released by the New England Patriots, and we kind of saw this coming because the New England Patriots, they used some draft capital on a new quarterback or two. And we know that the NFL likes their shiny young toys. So the writing was on the wall for Nathan Rourke, but just in the nick of time, it looks like he was claimed off waivers by the New York Giants. So he is going to continue exhausting those NFL options before returning north of the border. But Sheldon, I mean, once a guy starts bouncing around from team to team like this, maybe he does return to the CFL in 2025, 2026, or whatever it is. And if it is 2025, let's have the Nathan Rourke bidding roar start, the day after the Grey Cup, because that's going to consume the CFL offseason next year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who probably thought it was quite interesting that this Chad Kelly stuff came when the day that he was going to possibly clear waivers, and that could just be a nice little stopgap for the Argos there. But I think everyone really knew that he wasn't coming back this year. He keeps getting added to these teams because I do think that the teams recognize his talent. It's a tough thing to crack for him, but I think he's going to exhaust this last option. I think this is probably it for him down there, because if you want to look at it one way, yeah, you can keep trying to get down there and be on the practice roster and be that third string quarterback. Even if you make a second string quarterback in the NFL, that's life-changing money. So honestly, understand, but he could be playing up here for the next 10, 12 years, making probably to start $750,000 or $800,000, with it only going up if the cap continues to rise, if revenues continue to rise. That's a pretty comfortable life too. And I know he wants to play. Even when he went down there, he said he wants to play. So I don't see him as the guy who's going to waste years and years and years down there. But yeah, I think next year he comes up here, and I think probably every single team kicks his tires, because I think he is that next generational quarterback. He's that next Mike Riley. He's that next Bo Levi. Let's just bring him to Saskatchewan. I'm manifesting it. Let's go.
Let's get to that team that Sheldon Jones has ranked last in his way too early CFL power rankings. The Calgary Stampeders have released former All-Star defensive back Jonathan Moxey, and that has been a position group, I think, of struggle a little bit for the Stampeders over the past couple seasons. But a lot of it's due to injury. They got lots of talent back there, or they have had lots of talent back there. But over the past couple of years, if you want to say 18 regular season games apiece, it feels like they've had 30 different combinations in that backfield, and that's not good for a secondary. We will get to why you rank them last, or at least the rest of your power rankings at the end of the show here. But that Stampeders secondary will be a group to watch, I think, when it comes to training camp. The Manny Show has retired Sheldon Jones,
the series finale.
All-time CFL grade, a 3-time West Division All-Star. I think third all-time on the BC Lions receiving list. He's inside the top 20 in receptions, inside the top 30 in receiving yards, and he had a catch for the last 146 consecutive games of his career. A great personality, a great leader. Towards the end of his career, he tore that ACL. He came back, demonstrated toughness, grit, leadership. This is a guy that I hope stays around the Canadian Football League as a coach. I will always be marching just like one of the, what's their name again? The Bushwhackers.
Bushwhackers, yeah.
I think that was an all-time classic celebration, but I think Manny will be marching into the Hall of Fame in a few years. One of the all-time best we ever got to watch.
Yeah, I was happy that he came to the Riders. Don't think he was used very well when he was with the Riders, but For some reason, that seems to be the case when all these veteran receivers come to the Riders. I can think of Claremont, Arceneaux, Travis Moore came there at the end, G-Roy. But yeah, no, Manny, he was just as good on the field as off it. You could tell that he was that coach, that player coach. You could tell he was building up his young receivers, especially in Saskatchewan here. He was the person in Saskatchewan who coined that big play chain, and he got it made. And when they came off the bench and they made a touchdown or an interception, they put it on there, and it just he created a lot of fun for his teammates and for the fans. So certainly going to be missed on the field, but like you said, I hope he sticks around. He's already changed his Twitter handle to Coach Manny, I think. So let's hopefully he can get a guest coaching job with somebody this training camp and then start that coaching career.
And while Manny is a future Hall of Famer, I guess 3 receivers from his era are going into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame this year.
Our era.
Yeah, that's Weston Dressler, S.J. Green, and Chad Owens, all a part of the class of 2024 for the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. A defensive end, Vince Goldsmith, and Marvin Coleman round out the player category. But man, this is actually a pretty darn big class. Yeah. I feel like we're going to run out of guys to put in the Hall of Fame. Guys and gals, if we keep putting this many people in every year. But we see that Farhan Lalji is going to be going in, and I guess the media category. Stats legend Steve Daniel is going in as well. I guess I just feel like I'm aging rapidly when I see guys like this going into the Hall of Fame, Sheldon.
Yeah. Well, let's just talk about the big 3 right off the bat here. I have lots of memories about those guys. Obviously, Weston playing here for as long as he did. But one of my favorite memories of Weston is when he came back from the NFL. There was a lot of Regina businesses that were putting together packages to try to get him to sign. Like there was the Italian Star Deli. They said that he'd have sandwiches for a year, and so just jokingly, as I put on Twitter that I'd give him blizzards for a year from the Dairy Queen account. Asked for forgiveness from the boss later, which he was fine with it. But yeah, then got to go down when he signed and give him these blizzard cards, which he then donates to charity. So good for him on that. But so obviously Dressler was amazing. S.J. Green, I was there. Amazing catch that shouldn't have counted in overtime of that one game.
2010 home opener, legendary. I'm an S.J. Green fan.
Oh, me too.
Now, so behind the scenes, I'm working on the definitive top 10 receivers in CFL history list. And I'm trying to come up, I guess, with the criteria because, S.J. Green's theatrics and the tough catch, he might be at the top when you just look at that. He's not among the elites like G-Roy, Milton, Pitts with yards and touchdowns and things like that. But then when I look at his career, he got to play with Calvillo and Ray towards the end. But in between Calvillo and Ray, I think that maybe took away a lot of those numbers from S.J. Green. So I'm trying to come up with the criteria and the list. Weigh in the comments or send us a tweet or an email with who you think the greatest CFL receiver of all time is. But S.J. Green personally will always have a spot in my heart. I've met him a couple times, played against him in Mario Kart at a CFL tweet up.
Nice.
And I dominated.
I know what that feels like because I think I beat you maybe once in Mario Kart.
And then Chad Owens, the first player, not only his receiving ability in professional football history to have over 3,000 combined yards in a single season. Yeah, the flying Hawaiian definitely earned his name. Ed Laverty is also going in the builder category, and Ray Jock as well. There's a lot of Saskatchewan connections when it comes to this class of 2024. and maybe some players that were able to torch the Riders if they weren't a member of that franchise. But that is the way it goes. And speaking of somebody that was able to torch defenses for many years and already a Hall of Famer, Milt Stegall is going to go back to rookie camp.
Hashtag paper plates.
Okay, he's in incredible shape.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
There's no doubting that. But when he turned 50, I guess he told his wife, I want to go at least through one more day of training camp. Now 54, it's happening. Number 85 is going to be playing with the rookies. Now, it's not good if he shows them up, is it?
It'd be hilarious. I hope they have these rookies mic'd up, and if he burns them, I want a reaction to a 54-year-old man torching them.
And, as I build this greatest receiver list, Milt Stegall had 23 touchdowns in a year, 147 in his career, over 15,000. That was the record yards until G. Simon eclipsed that. So an all-time great, played in 2 Grey Cups, didn't win. But
he's the Dan Marino of the receivers of the CFL.
I think it's fun. Yep. I really hope that it's not like he runs one route and blows a hammy or something like that. But
that would be fun too, though, for the panel.
I have full faith that the Stegall's going to have a good day at rookie camp, and I think this is fun. And speaking of fun, Sheldon Jones, you have come up with the way too early CFL power rankings before training camp has even opened. You can see it at twoandout.ca and all of our social media channels. But I'll start it off for you. The Montreal Alouettes, the reigning Grey Cup champs, are number 1. Take us through the rest of those power rankings.
Yeah, so Montreal, they're number 1. They win, so that's up. But I have BC number 2. I think they're right there. Like,
I'm not a Bomber fan, but I'm feeling the disrespect.
Well, BC's trending upwards, and I think the Bombers are trending downwards. I just think that BC, they got better on defense. They're already explosive on offense, and Winnipeg, they're getting old. Sorry, I'm getting old. I am old, but they're getting old too. So
I don't know, man. I saw Willie Jefferson with 115-pound dumbbells.
Oh,
each.
Willie's a beast. Yeah, Willie's a beast. There's no denying that, but. I'm talking Stanley Bryant's getting a little bit old, okay? So I have Winnipeg at number 3, and then I have Saskatchewan number 4. Maybe it's a homer pick, but
now we're getting crazy.
But Saskatchewan has improved themselves the most out of any team. I don't think anyone can debate that. But if you want to ask the Ottawa Red Blacks how that works the last 2 seasons, you could probably ask them, and they'd tell you not very well. So we'll see what happens. After that, I have Edmonton, number 5. Middle of the pack team, but they're getting better. And I think Edmonton fans were getting excited of a whole year of Trey Ford. Well, now they're not going to get that, but bringing in a quarterback like McLeod Bethel-Thompson he's no slouch. He took the Toronto Argonauts to the Grey Cup. He went down to the USFL, led the league in passing, so he's obviously still got it. So, and Edmonton has some dynamic receivers, so if they can get them the ball and the playmakers, and they also got like Javon Leake, who can turn a game on its head, right, with a big return. Then I had Toronto, and this was because of the Chad Kelly situation hanging over them, so we'll see how that impacts it now. But also they got pillaged in free agency, and some of their coaches too. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Pinball and the rest of the team were able to do, plugging in those holes that are gone.
It will be interesting because last year I thought that some of their backups got some valuable playing time at the end of the season. I mean, because they were playing for nothing And a lot of times their backups smashed the competition. So
Yep. No, that's true.
we'll see what happens with the Argos here. And if those Alouettes can carry it over to the next season, it's going to be a battle
For sure.
First place in the East. Who's coming up at number 7?
Number 7, Ottawa. We'll see if Masoli can stay healthy. I think this is pretty much his last chance here. So he's got to be able to not only stay healthy, but, actually perform on the field. But this is kind of a process of elimination of who I think is going to be the worst, and they just were the best of the worst. And then in number 8, I have Hamilton. They're pretty much rebuilding with an aging quarterback and an amazing receiver. Like I don't see much of anything else there. Maybe that's me being a prick. I don't know, but I think that
you're filling in for the former co-host quite well.
Yeah. Well, Wally asked when he's coming back, so. But no, honestly, I think I don't know if Scott's going to be that guy who takes him over the hump here. It depends on how Bo plays. It depends on if he gets protection and if he is able to get that arm throwing the ball, because that's how teams with Bo Levi win. And he's won a lot of games, but not lately. And then coming in the rear, you said it before, but it's Calgary. Until Calgary can prove to me differently, they're the worst team in the league, as I can see it, because they needed Saskatchewan to lose 9 games in a row or 8 games in a row to end the season just for them to get into the playoffs. And sorry, Calgary fans. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you guys do great. No, I don't. But I hope for your sake that they do great. But I think Dave Dickinson had too much on his plate as the first year as the head coach and GM. I think that took away some of his ability to coach. I think he's a great coach. But I just don't know if the dual role is for him. And so maybe he needs to take a look at that and just be a GM or just be a coach. Hopefully they got their kinks out in year 1 for Stamps fans, and they can improve. Jake Mayer, he needs to be better than he was, plain and simple. And the receivers need to help Jake Mayer out because there was a lot of drops last year. So if his receivers actually can hang on to the ball and they go on a run here, then I'll look like an idiot, and that's fine. That's what power rankings are. They're divisive. They're just for fun. I want the negative. If you think I'm stupid, tell me. If you think I'm right, tell me. But every week we're going to keep doing these, and you'll see, how the teams move, and let's just have some fun.
I was just going to ask you, you're going to update this thing every week? Even
every
now?
Week.
Like, what's going to change between now and next week?
No, I'll do, not every week, but I mean during the season every week. But I'll do another one at the end of training camp, right before season starts, after I see the teams play in their preseason games. But then every regular season week, I will update them.
The Sheldon Jones, way too early CFL power rankings. I love it.
The quintessential power rankings.
And you're wearing the Alouettes shirt, We the Ones, for our friends at the Alouettes Flight Deck podcast.
Yep. I can't put it up on the new Bloodline sign. I got to put it up on the old, I'm OG Bloodline. I don't know about you. You're the final boss guy, but OG.
I actually think that might be the best CFL podcast shirt ever released.
Yeah. Greg, you did a great job. I don't want to say that you did a great job, but Greg, you did a great job. At Greg on Sports from the Piffles podcast made this shirt. So I'll give him his due.
We're all friendly right now until the season gets underway.
That's right.
All right. CFL training camps start this week. The rookies and the quarterbacks report in less than 24 hours, and everybody else shows up on Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms that listen to Two and Out. I doubt there are many, but if
Does
not
Ty's
a
mom still listen?
Remember, I don't know. Remember
Happy Mother's Day, Ty's mom.
Yes, happy
Yeah, there
Mother's
you go.
Day. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy training camp getting underway. And we'll talk to you soon on 2 and Out.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.